Guess you could raise your hand too, or butt in.
Oh,
There we go.
there we go.
Okay. So here Joanne Shook, who's our board member, who's a photographer, and anyway, we're going to go over first the frequently asked questions and just why. Go ahead, Kyle. Next one. That why choose a life plan community, and the name of our life plan community now is Humboldt Commons. And if you think about your future life, it really makes a lot of costs predictable and it helps with financial planning. We have a contract, and basically, once you pay the entry fee and are accepted as a resident for Humboldt Commons, you won't get booted out if you run out of your money. There's ways to keep you in there. We're a nonprofit, and we're committed to basically the entry fee is a lifelong lease. So that gives you peace of mind and also your family in case they're worried about what's going to happen to you. And because you'll know your housing, the healthcare coordination, and social needs are not only anticipated, but that there are some relief and security both for you and your loved ones. Okay. So we're focusing on our phase one on independent living, and it'll uh, and Kyle will go into some more details about what's included in independent living. But I think new to some of our presentations is that we will have basic levels of assisted living available at extra cost. And that includes assistance with bathing, dressing, grooming, medication management. Furthermore, one of the things I'm really excited about, we'll have some at no cost. We're going to have residents run a care companion group. And if, for example, you had surgery or some kind of hospital stay and you come back to Humboldt Commons and you need a little extra help, the care companion, the resident care companions can help you with shopping or, watching, taking care of your dog, even when you're in the hospital. Um, if you need assistance going out for a walk, they can do that or getting food to you somehow. So I think that that's really at the core of why a lot of us are excited about living in a community setting like this as opposed to staying in our independent homes. There will be a dedicated care coordinator on site full-time, which will help you basically be available for support at getting extra help if you need it, and really making sure you have your wellness and your health is optimized. And there will be activities available, some for free, and like we're going to have a fitness center, so some activities will be free, but if we bring in outside instructors for special things, then there could be a fee to pay for the instructor. We also, if you need a higher level of assisted living or memory care, we have an agreement in place with Timber Ridge, which is right next door, and they'll provide preferred access for Humboldt Commons residents. And our care coordinator will actually go with you over to Timber Ridge, make sure you're settled, and be an advocate for you there. Okay, Kyle. So, really what I found talking to people about what's important in their lives here is we like to eat together. And so that's important. I'll show you pictures of a draft design for our dining room, but we will have healthy food, communal dining with healthy food. And we will solicit input from residents about the types of menus being served and, have a regular salad bar and a whole variety of foods. There's a basic meal plan, which is included in the monthly service fee, which will provide 20 meals a month per person, but you can buy more meals if you want, or you can bring guests if you want at additional cost. So we are by regulation required to provide 3 meals a day. And so if you decide, that, every home will have a full kitchen, but you decide you're tired of cooking, additional meals can be charged to your account. But we fashioned it so that we get enough meals in, so there's community around the dining room, but not everybody has to pay for all the meals. Go ahead, Kyle. There will be a housekeeping service plan. You don't have to pay for it, but we're keeping fees low with optional by making the housekeeping services optional. And it depends on your home size for services every 2 weeks. And basically, there's maintenance for all common areas and grounds, as well as individual homes and apartments. For anything that's like your refrigerator's on the fritz, or the toilet's not working right, or the shower has a problem, that kind of maintenance will be available at no charge. You'll get 2 hours of complimentary maintenance on move-in, and that's for if you want to hang a TV or hang pictures or things like that. And then there will be other types of services available, handy person services available on request. So one thing in our house, it comes up every week. There's some kind of task that if we were at Humboldt Commons, we could just call maintenance. Go ahead.
I love that phrase, Ann, and that's actually one of my favorite parts of envisioning an individual at Humboldt Commons is what do you not have to do anymore if you're living at Humboldt Commons? And I was going to open this up just for some participation from the audience. If you want to use the chat feature, just typing in a task or a maintenance task that you'd be glad to give up if you were living at Humboldt Commons and you were able to just call someone and have them take care of it rather than adding it to your to-do list. But I'll be keeping an eye on the chat if anyone wanted to just give ideas of the things that they'd love to stop having to do on their own. But I'll move on to the next slide if you're ready, Ann.
Okay. So initially anyway, we're not going to have vans and things. So although we can make arrangement with Timber Ridge, who has regular van services to medical appointments in Eureka. But the care coordinator can help arrange transportation through third-party providers at your cost. We will have enough EV. Actually, we're going to have EV outlets enough so that every home could have an EV charging station, and including bicycle charging. And the fee for that is $40 a month for unlimited charging, and we'll have a swipe card at the charging station. There's one parking spot per home provided, and we will have. It's not a gated community. Actually, we're going to be open to the community, and that we will have technology monitoring the safety and security for people, and there will be 2 designated team members on site all time, including the evening. So I'm interested in the chat things. Figuring out internet and cable, yes. Dusting, all right. Fixing the junk drawer slide mechanism in the kitchen.
And I think those are all great things that have been brought up because what's great about Humboldt Commons is that not everything is now I need a paid staff member or I need to rely on a staff member or need them to be available for me. The great part is building community and really relying on your neighbors in many instances where they've shown an interest or an ability in something that may not be your forte. So maybe there's there's someone who really understands the drawer mechanism for your junk drawer, and maybe they totally understand how to get that fully open. And it's just simply being able to text them or knock on their door right next door to you and be like, hey, I'm having trouble with that again. Rather than the alternative right now is Humboldt is a little bit more spread out than many other communities and areas in the United States, and where it might be a little bit of a drive or a commitment for an individual to help you out with that at this moment. So I think it's fun to just look at how much can be covered, not just by staff members, but by building community.
And somebody add the washing machine hose link. That sounds like a problem I had not too long ago. Would have been fun to call maintenance. Okay.
If you want to go hang pictures, is that okay? You can
Yeah,
absolutely hang pictures and you can repaint. Basically, anything that you want to do customizing wise to your home within reason is acceptable at Humboldt Commons. There just may be needing to return it to the original condition you received it in, but absolutely those types of hanging pictures and repainting customizations are possible.
actually, the original groundbreakers are we're talking about the original residents. If you in the first wave is some customization that can happen in terms of colors um, and finishes. And yes, Jane, pets are allowed. They have to be well mannered. If you're, at Rose Villa in Portland, they actually interview pets before they move in. And if the pet misbehaves, they're given like a fix-it ticket to the owner, and you basically have to work with a trainer to fix the problem. So, like if your dog barks all day or is not kind to other residents or other dogs, then you'll have to fix that. And if you can't fix that, then you'll have more of a difficult decision to make about your pet. There will be an off-leash dog area, so that's another exciting aspect. Okay, next. So here's a basic site map, and then those of you who are getting closer to selecting a resident and get access to something called Your Tour, which gives you a more detailed um, look into what's, and Kyle can talk a little bit about that later, but that we are going to have both apartments and a common area, and I'll show you some details for that as we get on. There's outdoor common area with the amphitheater, the large greenish, light green area on the upper left of this is actually wetland, and there'll be trail around that. And then there are various clusters of cottages. So the cottages are clustered in order to save open space because we really feel that that's important. But all the cottages and apartments will have ample windows and visual access to the outside. And the cottages and the ground floor apartments will have patios and okay. Go ahead, Kyle. So here's a view of, and it's actually the back of Kyle's Zoom picture, but this is the entryway. And as you know, we're on Hiller way off of Hiller Road in McKinleyville. And the hummingbird is our symbol. And yeah, Jane, there will be highly well insulated for noise protection. Yes, that is a feature we hear from people is really important. Um,
The detail actually that came from the design meeting. Sorry to jump in real quick, Ann, but with noise insulation, we've gone to as great of lengths as possible to make sure we're taking into account shared walls and things like that. I've been informed that we'll be having 11-inch thick walls in between homes. And with the most recent cutting edge technology of the materials used to dampen sound in between. So not only thick walls, but using as good of materials as possible to insulate that sound.
Okay, so you see, in addition to the common areas are in the larger central part of this, and then apartments go off to either side. And there's And the apartment, so there's 2 stories of apartments, but all the apartments are single level, and there'll be elevators and stairs to get to the 2nd floor. You see that they have decks or what do you call that? A balcony on the 2nd floor, all except for 2 of the apartments. And yeah, says she lives in a duplex, and she vouches for good soundproofing. And the entryway, there's a lobby above it in this common area is a large community room, and there'll be community kitchen there, so we're gonna have potlucks. The dining room itself, we'll show a picture later. Go ahead. So this is the entryway and mailboxes, and then the dining room's off down the corridor there. So you see, we try to make it, we had a lot of future resident input on the design and working with the architects. Go ahead. And this is the dining area, and you see there's a lot of windows, which giving the structural engineer a little food for thought, because want to make it strong enough to withstand whatever comes our way here in Humboldt. Oh, Jane, we'll get that to you about the utility bills later on. Okay. And let's see, next. This is a view from the 2nd floor from the community room. And you can see, as I said, the where you see apartment, the cottages off in the distance, some of the gathering spots. Down, there'll be outdoor area for outdoor dining right below. And then there's a covered area that's this, and below that is an amphitheater for performances. And then off to the right there, all that green space is the a wetland, and there'll be trails around the wetland. All of the trails will be well paved so that people with wheelchairs and walkers can get around. Okay, go ahead next. And this is a view of the common building from the wetland. And see, we have benches so to sit and appreciate the birds and the beautiful plantings. And we have a great local committee working on the landscape architecture as well to get, we have primarily native plants. So that's really exciting. You can see from this, you can get a pretty good view of the upstairs of the community room and an outdoor deck that we have there. And then down below that is the dining room, and then you see the little umbrellas there. That's for outdoor dining, and there'll be a grill, gas grills for people to use if they like to cook their own. And on the left, you can see somebody, people just sitting out on their patio and enjoying the day. Okay.
Absolutely. And I'm sure everybody may have noticed already or not, but this is actually looking up at here is the exact view that we were just at. This is the previous view looking up from there, or looking down, I'm sorry. And this would be looking up at that previous view we were at, just to kind of give an idea of the layout.
And like that deck is an example of places we need gathering spaces for people who, if you want to have privacy, you will in your apartment or a cottage, but there'll be ample places and opportunities to get together with people. Go ahead, Kyle, next. And this is a draft drawing of the fitness room. And you see there's a deck off of that, but I really like this. We actually have an agreement now with the club. Well, those of you who have Blue Cross Anthem insurance can use the health sport in McKinleyville for free. And we have an agreement with the club, which is a wonderful gym and exercise facility. And so that we can, without even paying a initial membership fee, you can join for $40 a month as a Humboldt Commons resident. And they have a swimming pool, sauna, dry sauna, hot tubs, multiple exercise, Pilates rooms and classes and weight rooms and all of that. So, and that's less than a mile away. Go ahead. This is a view down the walking paths of one of the sets of cottages. So you see, you have a chance to sit out on your patio and watch people go by, but you really have some privacy as well. Go ahead, Kyle. And I really like the windows here, and that's the kitchen. Yeah, and overlooking the patio and one of the, and you see there's actually, you can see two cottages here. One is the, yeah, and then the one to the right. And we try to vary the roof line to give it a little architectural interest. You will have some private garden space in front of your cottage if you'd want. And we're also planning to have some community garden area because we know people love their gardens, but there'll be opportunities to get your hands dirty. Okay, go ahead. This shows a kitchen of that, and this is actually from that same home that we were cottage we were looking for from the outside. So you see a full size appliances. There will be several of the home apartments and cottages that are fully designed for somebody in a wheelchair, the ADA compliant, so that the countertops are lower and there's space to pull in under the sink, so you can get right into the sink. So, and then we say the rest of the homes are adaptable. So there will be some level of grab bars there, and if you need more adapting, that's possible to do. Go ahead. Go ahead now, Kyle. I'm going to turn it over. This is the business end of things.
Yes, just to go over some kind of definitions of some terms that we might use throughout talking about becoming a resident at Humboldt Commons and what that path looks like. So, candidly, we did open up back in January and very successfully added just shy of 300 people to our future resident priority list. We've been reaching out to those individuals as we have started 10% deposits. Very exciting moment in Humboldt Commons project that I think it was just about 2 weeks ago this Wednesday that we received authorization from the state of California Department of Social Services to begin accepting 10% deposits. These 10% deposits are based on your selected home. So it would be the specific floor plan and location of that floor plan at Humboldt Commons. And we are calling these 10% depositors OGs. I know that has a specific connotation here in Humboldt, and that was intentional, but in this term, we're using it as original groundbreakers. So a very fun term to relate to our roots of Humboldt, but also just to kind of narrate what stage these individuals are at as they are taking this leap with us to open up Humboldt Commons and craft the community that they're interested in. The entrance fee is the cost of your home at Humboldt Commons. Now, this is not to be confused with a real estate purchase. The way a life plan community works is different types of contract models across the United States, but for us, it is one simple contract model. If you were looking up the types of contracts, it is type C contract, which is fee for service. And what that is an upfront entrance fee. That would be a larger amount of money associated with the purchase price of a home. And that entrance fee, a portion of it is repayable. So that means that for our original groundbreakers, our first 80 depositors, they will get to appreciate 80% repayable portion of their entrance fee upon any type of exit from the community. So that would be whether in passing or if another opportunity arises or priorities do change and you would need to move away from Humboldt Commons, you would get 80%, or if you were part of the 70% after the first 80 depositors, you would get 70% of your entrance fee refunded. Now, that is not of your 10% deposit. That is of the full entrance fee once it's paid in full, the remaining balance, and when you have actually moved into Humboldt Commons. I will say that these 10% deposits that we are taking right now are fully refundable. They're refundable with no conditions needing to be met prior to construction. We expect construction to begin in early 2027. And then after construction is begun, those 10% deposits are still refundable. We would just need to then replace your 10% deposit with another depositor's 10% before we could refund you. So it is refundable even after construction begins. We just need to meet a criteria. The way I like to characterize the entrance fee of Humboldt Commons is really kind of like purchasing a lifetime lease. It would be purchasing the lifetime rights to that specific home for you. And basically what that means is that, as Ann mentioned earlier, the nonprofit of Plan Humboldt is making a commitment to its residents that if we financially qualify you in the beginning, meaning you get the full financial approval, you pay your full entrance fee, and you've moved into Humboldt Commons. Once that's occurred, as long as you are able to continue independently living, that would just be that you have a 602 medical form filled out by your medical provider saying that you are able to live independently. If you are able to continue living at Humboldt Commons medically, we've already financially qualified you in the beginning. We're standing by that commitment. And as life does happen, if something were to happen along the way, we're making a commitment that even if you are not able to continue paying monthly fees, we will work with you. There are no evictions. We are not kicking anybody out. So what that looks like is most likely first, the executive director would meet with an individual and assess how much of their entrance fee is refundable. We could start drawing down off of that. But if it goes beyond those means and that amount of money is exhausted, then it would look like us as a Humboldt Commons community standing by that individual. And there are funds allocated in the pro forma to stand by these individuals along the way. Of course, within reason. If somebody's going out and making a bad bet on the stock market or something, we can't stand by inappropriate or mishandling of funds. But if it's just simply money ran out or costs of living have increased and things like that, Humboldt Commons is making that commitment that you have a place to live. So the other part of paying for Humboldt Commons besides the entrance fee is the monthly service fee. And that would be the ongoing costs, basically, of paying for living at Humboldt Commons. That would take care of, if you were to look at what goes into that monthly fee, Humboldt Commons paying taxes, insurance, utilities. I know Jane had a question earlier about what utility bills are paid for. All utilities surrounded by with living at Humboldt Commons are taken care of in the monthly fees. That would include electric, water, sewer, and Wi-Fi throughout the community. If you wanted your own Wi-Fi network, you could always choose to get one of those and have your own private login, but there would be Wi-Fi throughout the community. Can you project those fees over time? So yes, we actually have in our deposit agreement in Appendix A, I see your question there, Jane. We not only have monthly fees estimated in today's dollars in all of our marketing materials, but in our deposit agreement, the state requires that we estimate what those fees look like with cost of living taken into account, starting in 2029 for 5 years from move-in commencing in early 2029. So we do have those projected, and those materials will be available on our website soon. And I think that takes care of definitions. If I had any other questions, but I'll move on to next.
I just
Yes,
wanted
Amy.
to add that there's a range of monthly fees, and that depends on the size of your apartment or cottage.
Mhm.
But some people look at it and get sticker shock because you may not really appreciate how much it costs to live in your own home now. So many of you know Kaya Scarter, and I didn't see her name on this today. But she's a future resident, and she actually took the time to figure out how much she pays every month for all the things and maintain and live in her home, and including allowance for like, well, you might need a new roof put on in a couple of years. And that, oh, there's Kay. Thank you. I'm quoting you. And she says that it's comparable to the monthly fees at Humboldt Commons, which I thank you very much, Kay, for um, doing that. It's a lot of work that not everybody can pull off. Yeah, if you want to add anything more on about that, speak up.
Well, it's only an estimate, but stuff like your grocery bill and stuff like that. I know you'll have 20 meals in your monthly fee, but those things are hard to predict. But I just made a ballpark estimate of it, and it came out pretty close. I was amazed at how much I do spend, even though I don't feel like I'm a real spendthrift. But when you start adding everything up and your repair bills and stuff like that, it came out pretty close. So at
But
least
the homeowner's insurance, which is going up if
Pre-taxes.
you can get it, the property tax, you don't pay that. You don't pay that. So
right. Yeah.
those
So
ones you
it was just me. You might not, other people might not find it. It might be more, it might be less, but it's a good exercise to do because I hadn't done that for myself, and I really found it interesting.
Great, thank you, Kay.
I
Yeah.
asked about room for community gatherings, games, classes, performances, etc.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the, we don't have all the architectural drawings to show you here, but there is a really nice community room or activity room. I forget what we're calling it, but it has a large screen TV, a place for performances with, we're going to have a fold up stage and a place to store sound equipment. There'll be a community kitchen for potlucks. And along every corridor in the apartment building, there are rooms that one is an art studio, another is just a library, and some of them we haven't filled out the exact content of what's going to be in there because it depends on what the residents want, but it places for jigsaw puzzles and informal gatherings. That's a really important thing in all over. And as we said, outdoor, as I said, they have the amphitheater and outdoor dining space off of the dining room. So yes, a community, enhancing the opportunities for community gatherings, what it's all about.
Absolutely. And to kind of piggyback off of Anne's point here is that something I've noticed across all different Kendall communities when I've visited them is really maximizing the space and making sure that every little nook and place that we could find basically to Anne's point, whether it's for jigsaw puzzles or a little reading corner with a little mini library and a bookshelf, or really making sure that if there's a little corner and somewhere quaint where we could be using that space, not only for activities, but places for residents to enjoy the entire community, really trying to maximize use of those spaces.
Judy Hodgson wants a ping pong table.
All right. Well, then it sounds like
Then
we might.
also the thing about community, the McKinleyville itself has, have Pearson Park
Mhm.
and pickleball court and gymnasiums, there and shopping and trails and things like that. And there will be the Midtown Bike Trail will go right through our property and hook up to the larger network of bicycle trails in McKinleyville.
Absolutely. And just to have one final note on monthly service fee, thank you, Kay, for doing that evaluation of your monthly fees. And it's great to hear back that indeed it seems like when you're looking at it, it makes the fees at Humboldt Commons seem much more reasonable as far as what you're getting for your money. And something I always like to emphasize on is it's also what your time is worth. I mean, eventually, one might want to start looking at what does it take to hire someone for some of these things that would be needed on your property. If you're calling 5 different plumbers and one doesn't show up, and then the one that does isn't really having maybe a fair estimate, and now you have to call someone else. Before long, the energy and effort and the time that you've given to securing these types of things, that could be something that's taken into account as well. And how do you want to live out what will be possibly your most important and your end of years of life, and how much do you want to be spending it arranging things to be done, or enjoying life and really simplifying life and streamlining a lot of those needs. And how about making a reservation for 10 to 15 years out? That's a great question. So that is totally possible to be done. Our priority list members are staying on a list, many of them, for a future opportunity of living at Humboldt Commons. And we welcome joining our wait list that we will be opening up. It will not be accompanied by $1,000 deposit. We should have that up in the next week or two. It was just a switch from collecting those $1,000 to now just simply having a wait list. So that will absolutely be possible. I'm going to move on here.
That's your next slide.
Yes, indeed. So just giving an idea of timeline and where we're at. So the folks who joined our future resident priority list did so from January till about end of July. And then we did host, we call them FERPLs, Future Resident Priority List members. And we did host them for a few different events, a few options for the same event in the end of May and early June. And that really gave them the floor plans, the pricing, the info of what it looks like to become a 10% depositor. And we are now taking reservation deposit appointments. We're contacting the individuals in the order in which we received their $1,000 deposits. And that'll be held August through most likely September, October time. When we have reached 70% of the available homes, which we currently have 109 available, when we reach 70% of those homes with a 10% deposit, that is our check mark for bond financing. And that would really be the goal that we're looking to get to in order to initiate construction. And construction will be dependent on myself and our sales office reaching 70% of those 10% deposits. Sorry for all the percentages in these numbers. And then after we have our 10% depositors, obviously the process doesn't stop of building community, and we will continue throughout the 2 years of our expected construction timeline, with us beginning construction in early 2027 and estimating move-ins to start in early 2029. We'll want to build that community before the actual physical structures are up. So that means lots of opportunities to meet your neighbors in social gatherings. A recent example of that is we had what we've now had a few times before is a potluck dinner, whether we do it at Azalea Hall or a local church and such. And really, it's just showing what that community looks like, not only meeting your neighbors, but what coming together and supporting each other looks like in these moments. So a very exciting next 2 years. Now, 10% depositors, a giant benefit to those who place a 10% deposit is our moving assistance company, whose coordination services are covered with your 10% deposit. And this moving assistance company has been determined as Moving Station. And they're a company out of Chicago, Illinois, who has been doing this in this business for many years and has vast experience in relocations, from government relocations to military to corporate to what they now mainly specialize in is senior living community relocations. They will help with everything from downsizing to getting your home ready to sell, to selling your home, to moving from your home into Humboldt Commons. And they will have a dedicated coordinator who would be available via phone and email to you. It would not be a different person each time, one individual who you get to know and guides you through this process, and really is your direct contact for making sure that you're using providers that are suggested, if they're charging the right rates. Obviously, if you were to hire a realtor or movers or anyone for actual services, those would be directly billed to you and you would take care of those. But the coordination of it and having someone who's really making sure your hand is held throughout this entire process and any resources you need made available, they have right there for you. So very exciting part about having Moving Station help you along the way during this process.
I think that I'm really excited about getting connected. I'm an OG and couldn't wait. But that the moving station, like for example, I have some collectibles, things that are valuable, knickknacks, and I call them their dust collectors at the moment, but I don't really want them in a smaller home. And moving station can help how to get those in the hands of somebody who really wants them and maybe get money for them. They also have a grief counselor, because it's hard to change. We love our homes we've been in for many years, a lot of us, and yet we know, emotionally that even though we want to stay there, that when you get rational, it's like this is a better path forward for your future. Because even though you may not, quote, need it at the moment, it's hard to say when that moment's going to come. And I like to think of it as this way I get to pare down and move my things as opposed to if I have some kind of health calamity, it'll be somebody else paring down and moving and going through my stuff. And I don't, it doesn't appeal to me as much.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Anne. And so just going over, yes, I think I mentioned construction beginning early 2027. Move-ins are currently estimated to commence in early 2029. I do like to mention that we will not have all 109 homes move in all at once. This is part of the expertise of Moving Station. They know what that looks like as far as how many individuals per day, and making sure. I was very impressed with the little strategies that they had to make sure that things go smoothly. One of the first things was, you would never have a home number that's on one side of the property move into a home that's right next door to each other. You'd make sure they're on opposite sides of the campus so that resources aren't stretched thin and people aren't running into each other. So everything down to little details like that, to big things like partnering with local realtors and making sure that there are pre-negotiated rates, looking at your invoices to make sure that everything's on the up and up. So lots of fun and exciting and helpful things from Moving Station for the 10% depositors.
I think one of the things is tricky for those of us. I mean, a lot of us haven't sold a home in a long time, but how can you time it so you can live in your home up until the time you move into Humboldt Commons? And that's one thing Moving Station can help with. And they actually even can have a service that if your home does not sell in time for you to, use the money and pay your entry fee, full entry fee, they buy your home. They can buy your home for a fee, and I'm not sure what it is. But then if you, during the next 180 days or half a year, if you go ahead and sell your home and complete the sale on your own, they relinquish it. And so I think that takes a lot of the anxiety over the timing of home sale, which I find is the one reason we selected this company over other companies who provide similar services.
Absolutely. And to Anne's point, something that it was a defining factor as to why I was a big fan of Moving Station as well in that process is they will be working closely with Elizabeth, our marketing coordinator in the office with me and myself, on really uploading all of the notes from their interactions with our OGs, our 10% depositors, and making sure we're well aware of what stage each individual is at with their move. That way we're not telling someone, oh, your home's ready and we need you to pay the remainder of the entrance fee before they're ready. So we would know where they're at in the process, making sure that if someone needs a little bit more time, we're maybe going to someone else to commence that move in. So we would be able to line up the sale of a home or any type of the process that's holding someone back from comfortably and being ready to move into Humboldt Commons. They're here to assist. So lots of benefits from moving station indeed. And so just to cover on what is an OG, our 10% depositors. We picked it because obviously the term OG has a rich history in Humboldt County, but we really thought it lended to Humboldt culture of people who are not dependent on other people's ideas and innovative and novel and really looking to take this step with us in this project of Humboldt Commons and wanting to make this community their own. So we really wanted to make sure we were lending to the history in a term that would really encompass future residents of Humboldt Commons. And just to go over in kind of summary what the benefits to our 10% depositors are. It's an 80% repayable contract versus the 70. We are offering the first 80 individuals to make a 10% deposit, an 80% repayable contract. After those 80 individuals, it will switch to 70. This was in the spirit of 80% was talked about earlier on in the project. I think it's, for me, one of the reasons why I'm so proud to work for Life Plan Humboldt and Humboldt Commons, because when they say something, they want to stand by it. They don't just think they will, they put action behind it. And it was originally communicated in some material of 80% repayable. The financial team came to the board and said, I don't think we can do 80%. The board said we have to, as many as we can. So it was found out the exact amount of the most amount of 80% contracts we could give out. And that was the first 80. So just a great example of the board standing by their word. This is pre-construction 2026 entrance fee pricing. What that means is the entrance fees advertised today are in today's dollars as if we were selling the home ready to be moved in today. And once you've placed a 10% deposit, you're locking in that 2026 pricing so that when the remainder of the entrance fee, that remaining 90%, is due closer to move in towards 2029, we're not then having you pay whatever the pricing is at that time, as it most likely will increase over the next 2 years at some points. So really you're locking in this 2026 pricing so that you are paying the remainder based on the amount decided right now, rather than increase costs down the future. You're locking in a location. This is the best time, as we have to start 109 and we've taken a few deposits by now, but this is the best time where there are the most available homes at Humboldt Commons. Eventually, when it's turnover of occupancy, it'll only be a couple here and there or one home here and there that becomes available, and the choices will be not as many as you have at this moment. As we have all but one floor plan still available. We actually did just sell, I can announce, the last of one of our floor plans recently. And then opportunity to select finishes. So there is a customization process for the 10% depositors. They will get to pick, it has not been determined what the choices are, but from these types of things, countertops, paint colors, flooring, cabinetry, things like that to make it really feel like your own home. Those types of customizations will be able to be made, as well as any types of modifications that would be made for an extra charge. They are much easier to do and much more cost effective for an individual who's moving into this home during the construction phase, rather than if it's already constructed and then modifications obviously would require some demolition before, so it's a little bit more costly once the actual community is constructed. This is possibly one of my favorites that Joanne Choka, another board member of ours, really likes to emphasize, and I think it's really important. You're locking in a plan without having to do anything per se, anything physical beyond placing the deposit. You don't have to start the downsizing per se. You don't have to actually sell your home or list it yet. You're placing a deposit and you know that you have an option down the road when Humboldt Commons is constructed in early 2029. And it's really going to kind of spur that initiative of you wanting to downsize, wanting to look at that next step. So it's locking in a plan without having to do anything other than just placing the deposit. And then the move-in coordination, in my opinion, the biggest of all. Moving station services are not guaranteed beyond 10% depositors. So after we have filled the community and as occupancy will have turnover from individuals, anybody new coming to the community is not guaranteed included in their entrance fee, the coordination services from moving station. And as I mentioned earlier, the deposit is fully refundable until construction starts. We will give at least 30 days notice before construction starts, just so individuals know their chance to get a refund without any criteria needing to be met. And of course, after construction starts, we will be able to refund 10% deposits. We would just need to find another individual to place that 10% deposit for that specific home before refunding that person who's looking for a refund. And the last thing I know, before I just know Anne wanted to touch on an upcoming fundraiser that Life Plan Humboldt's putting on.
So many of you have attended our Raise the Roof parties that we have at Fieldbrook Winery, and I think we've had 3 already. And our theme this year is to pave the way, make Hiller Road safer for all. We're fundraising, part of our obligation of moving in a building on Hiller Road is to put a sidewalk in, and then the last moment kind of the county is requiring us to pave an additional 13 feet along at a cost of $200,000. We have it in our budget, but we really want to do a good job of it, and the county said they'll paint a bike trail on there too. So it really is going to help Hiller Road overall, and all the proceeds from our Raise the Roof party are going to help make that happen and give us some contingency to, just really do it right. This will be at the Fieldbrook Winery, September 10th from 4 to 8 p.m. There's dinner, a silent auction, and dancing to the So Hum Girls, where you can see people really got up and danced. It's a really fun party. Tickets are $125, which actually it seems a little expensive, but you get quite a night for it. And you can get tickets at humboldt.kendall.org/events. That's our webpage. In the upper right side, there's a pull-down menu for events. And ticket sales are trying to wrap them up by September 3rd, so we can really plan the program and all of that. So please come and enjoy yourself. It's just another example of how getting together is a fun thing. And when we live in Humboldt Commons, it'll be a lot easier to do. You don't have to drive to do it. Any questions now? We have a couple more minutes, but not much. All right, you guys have been a good audience. Help spread the word. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for coming and continuing to support by your attendance and your curious questions, joining OLLI. And I want to let you know that next week we are going to have our final brown bag lunch for the session, and it will be basically an online talk about staying steady, community research, exercise, and fall prevention in Humboldt and Del Norte counties. It's with Sarah Landis, who is an expert PT, DPT, I don't know what all that means, WCS biometrics lab manager, lecturer. It's a long set of letters. plus Justice Ortega, who's interim dean of the College of Professional Studies at Cal Poly. And they'll talk about the fall risk and what we can do to promote healthy aging and look at how structured exercise programs and everyday physical activity influence balance, mobility, and fall risk among older adults. This is a substitution for one that we had in the catalog, and we know these guys are really good, and I think you'd really love. Sarah Landis has given multiple OLLI classes, and they're well attended and well loved. So I think you'll enjoy visiting with us next week. And